What's going on, guys? Magdallan here with another Path of Exile video. Today I would like to talk about trade etiquette. I was hanging out in Arrow's stream the other day, and I don't remember the exact context, but he was basically getting a lot of people trying to trade him for, some fraction of a divine, 0.1, 0.2, something like that, and they were obviously just trading as though the divine was static at exactly 200C, when in fact it was up to 213, 214C at the time. And we were, giving him a lot of shit in the chat and calling him toxic or whatever, just messing around. But then I was sitting here and I was trying to trade a card. I was trying to sell a card for 1.1 div. And I literally, for 5 or 10 minutes, I just kept getting spammed by, there must have been at least 20 people doing this. People either trying to join my party and then trade me as though 0.1 of a div was 15C, it's not, or people who were trying to join my party and then after arriving in my hideout, then try and haggle with me and buy the card for 1 div instead of 1.1. And in all of these cases, it's an immediate I kick you from the party and I block your character. And you might be like, oh, that's kind of toxic, that's a little bit harsh. But Path of Exile is not only a capitalism simulator, but it's a game where time is money. And if I'm online, I'm mapping. I'm doing something. I'm in the middle of making currency. And I've played the game for a long time, as have a lot of people. The game is full of vets. Yes, there's a lot more new players this league than most leagues, but the vast majority of Path of Exile players are people who have been doing this for a long time. And there are some general ideas, some general points of etiquette that I've just noticed in the last week or two a lot of people are not abiding by. And for me, I'm at the point in the league where I don't really need currency anymore. I'm selling stuff and I'm doing projects to make videos, but it's not going to break my heart if I just don't sell something for another day or for another couple hours or something, because it just is what it is. And so, real quickly, I just want to go over some general rules that I think if you abide by, that you will have a better trade experience, people will hate you less, and you will make people like me, of which I believe there are quite a few, who do not have time for any trade shenanigans and who will just pass you by if you don't follow these general guidelines. So the first thing is, don't ask me for change if the amount of the change would be more than like 0.2 or 0.3 of a div. I don't want to give you half of a divine in chaos. I use my chaos for stuff. See my previous video where I say that at this point in the league that I use chaos for all kinds of things other than just buying divines. It's a resource that I use to fuel my fun and my, daily exploits and mapping and setting up farming strategies, buying mats, all of that stuff. And I don't want to just shell out bunches of those chaos to people who essentially what they're doing is they're offloading the work of having to go to the trade website and buy chaos or buy divines, whatever the case might be. And they want me to do that work for them afterward. Don't be that guy. If it's 0.1 of a div, 0.2, maybe 0.3, if it's like a more expensive item, if I have it listed for like 5.7 div, and you're like, hey, I got 6, you got change. Okay, fine, that's not a problem, whatever. But if it's an item that I'm selling for, 1.2, 1.3 div, and you're like, hey, you got change for 2? No, I don't have change for 2. Get out of here. So that's my advice, is if it's less than 0.3 of a div and you need change, okay, fine. If it's more than that, maybe you should just wait until you have the right currency that the person is asking for when they're selling the item. The next thing is, this is what I think is the proper order of operations if you are trying to purchase something from another player. So the first thing that you do is find the item that you want on the Path of Exile trade website, and then you're going to click the Send Whisper button, and you should have the money in your inventory ready to go. And when they invite you to the party, you go to their hideout, and then you wait patiently. Put your hands in your lap. Do not open trade with me. If you are the buyer, you wait. You don't just rush to somebody's hideout and open trade. If you do that, I think you're a scammer. Or I think you're going to try and trick me. You're going to try and put the wrong currency in there. You're going to, you know, there's always some small changes to the trade apparatus every league. In this case, it is the change of chaos stack size. So I suspicion that you're going to try and put stacks of 10, or you're going to do something shady. Why are you in such a rush? Everybody knows that when you go to buy items in Path of Exile, you often don't get answered. And so you end up having to spam tons of people before you finally get somebody that answers you. I always answer. If I have an item listed and somebody sends me a whisper, they're going to get invited to the party. And the counter to that is I expect people to be polite when they trade with me. Otherwise, I'll just wait for the next person. So you go to their hideout and you wait. Maybe I'm mapping. Maybe my inventory's full. Maybe I have to real quick go to my stash and put some stuff down so that I can pick up the item that you're trying to buy. And then the inverse to this is, once we're in the trade window, by all means, take all the time that you need. If you're buying an expensive item, look it over. Make sure it's the right one. I'm not going to cancel trade. I'll just sit there and wait. I tend to wait until the other person goes green before I ever click the accept button. And so there's no problem. Once stuff is in the trade window, take all the time that you need. But before that, you go to their hideout and you wait patiently. That's my advice on that. The next thing is haggling. I'm going to, maybe in this case, have an opinion that is not commensurate with the average Path of Exile player, but I just don't think you should haggle at all. I don't really do it. If it's a really expensive item, we're talking 20 div plus, and it's been up for a week or something, or multiple days, maybe I'll come in and say, you know, hey, you've had this up for quite a while. I'm running a little bit light on Divine. Can you cut me a deal? You know, 1, maybe 2 Divine, less than what you've got it listed for. Something like that. But I would say don't really try and haggle with people on cheaper items. But I'm not going to say you can't do it. I'm just saying that's not my style. I find that to be a little bit of a pain. But if you're gonna, don't use the send whisper button on the trade website. If you push that button, what that tells me is that you've already accepted the price that I have it listed for. That's why I list all my items as exact price, not negotiable price. And so once you click that button, when I see that first whisper come up, I'm going to click the button and invite you to the party. And if you then come in after that whisper and say, well, I want to offer less than what you've had it listed for, then number one, you're wasting my time. And number two, I feel awkward because I already invited you to the party. You're already there. Now I have to engage with you in a conversation. I have to actually tell you no. And then I have to leave the party. It makes me feel awkward. I don't like it. And so again, your character's probably going to get ignored in that case. What you should do is, if you want to haggle, you should look on the trade website. It tells you their in-game name. And you should write a custom whisper that says, hey, I see that you have this item listed. And then give a reason for why you think that, you know, it hasn't been listed for a long time, whatever. And then make the offer. And then let me decide if I want to invite you to the party. Don't use the standardized, you know, instant invite type thing where it just pops up and my lurker just gives me a button. Because lurker does not take into account people that are making offers that are less than the amount. I just have a button. It comes up. I'm not even going to read the chat. I just look at the little box. It says how much currency I have the item listed for. That tells me that somebody wants to buy it. I click it and it invites people to the party. It's as simple as that. And if you embed your offer at the end of that whisper, I'm probably not going to see it. Then I'm going to be mad when you get to the hideout and don't, you know, and put the wrong amount in the trade window. So again, if you want to haggle on a cheaper item or even on a more expensive one, use the in-game name and take a minute to write out your own whisper. And it's a give and take. Because if you want me to consider selling an item for less than what I've listed it for, then I think it's fair that I should expect that you can take an extra second and not use the instant send whisper button and instead write me an actual human message that tells me what's going on and that you want to make an offer on an item I have listed. And then the last thing is, know the current price of divines. And I don't mean the current as of 6 hours ago when you happen to look at it. You should know, as anytime you're trading, the exact price of a divine. And no, I don't need 2 or 3C. But if the difference in 0.1 is the difference between 20C and 22C, it's gonna piss me off if you try and give me 20C. Because again, you're not valuing my time, and you are making an expectation that I don't know what the price of a divine is, and that I'm gonna be gullible enough to just click the accept button. Also, because it's kind of a thing where when people do this, it makes me feel like they know that they've already wasted my time, and so I'm going to accept the sunk time fallacy, as it were. And because I don't want to wait for the next trade, that I'm just going to let you sort of get away with you're just going to scam me for 2C or 5C or whatever the case is. And again, if it's earlier in the league, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit different, but I'm at the point now where I've got the currency, my build's done. All I'm doing is farming for extra to do farming strat videos and so on and so forth. And so I've got the luxury of being vindictive. I will absolutely kick you out of my party and not do the trade over 2C. So this was my etiquette guide for the Path of Exile 3.21 League. A little bit salty. I have been genuinely surprised at how clueless people have seemed as of late when I have been interacting via trade. And so hopefully this video can help a few people who are maybe genuinely just new and are maybe making some of these mistakes, you know, in an honest way. But, you know, again, if you're a veteran player and you're doing some of this stuff I mentioned, you know, lovely chaos, I'm looking at you, then go fuck yourself, because trade's already bad enough. And if you can't be polite when you're doing it, then you're just making it worse. All right, I will see you guys in the next video. I appreciate you.